Have you ever been called a beggar by the very person you've been saving for 5 years? That's exactly what happened to me. At Thanksgiving dinner, in front of 24 family members, by my own sister. My name is Elena Harper, and I'm about to tell you a story that will make you question everything you think you know about family loyalty. Picture this. I'm standing at my parents' front door, holding a homemade pumpkin pie I spent 3 hours perfecting. Through the glass panels, I can see the chaos inside. Relatives everywhere, laughter, the smell of roasted turkey drifting through the cracks in the doorway. For a split second, I think about turning around, getting back in my car, going home to my quiet apartment where nobody expects anything from me. But then my father spots me. His face lights up, and he swings the door open wide. "There she is," he announces to the entire house. "Our number cruncher has arrived." That's what they call me. The number cruncher. The practical one. The boring daughter who works with spreadsheets while everyone else lives exciting lives. I force a smile and step inside. My mother takes the pie from my hands with barely a glance. "Oh, you brought dessert," she says, her eyes already scanning past me toward the driveway. "Is that all you brought?" "Just me and the pie, I want to say. Just your daughter who's been bleeding money for half a decade to keep this family's perfect image intact." But instead, I smile. Made from scratch. My father pats my shoulder like I'm a golden retriever who just fetched the newspaper. "Elena works with numbers," he tells Uncle Marcus, who's standing nearby with a drink. "Very stable job. Always punctual, always punctual. Always reliable, always boring. I've heard variations of this my entire life, and it never gets easier to swallow." My mother's phone chimes, and her entire face transforms. Pure joy. "That's your sister," she says, practically glowing. "She's running a little late. 30 minutes and counting, I think, but nobody's listening anymore." I'm shuffled toward the living room, where relatives cluster with drinks and expensive-looking appetizers I know my mother spent days preparing. Uncle Marcus raises his glass at me. "The accountant arrives. How's life balancing those books, Elena?" "I'm an internal auditor, actually," I correct him, accepting a glass of champagne from a passing tray. "And business is—" That's when it happens. The room goes silent. Not gradually, not politely. It's like someone flipped a switch and drained all the sound from the space. Every head turns toward the entryway. My sister has arrived. Victoria glides in 30 minutes late, and she looks like she just stepped off a runway. Her camel-colored coat that probably costs more than my monthly rent drapes perfectly over her shoulders. Designer sunglasses perched on her head, a handbag I recognize from last month's fashion magazine dangling from her wrist. "Sorry I'm late," she announces to the room, not sounding sorry at all. "The traffic was absolutely brutal." My mother rushes forward like Victoria is a celebrity who just graced us with her presence. "You look stunning, sweetheart," she gushes, stroking the sleeve of Victoria's coat. "Is this new?" Victoria does this thing where she pretends to be modest, but you can tell she's loving every second. "Just picked it up last weekend." The color called to me. "You work so hard," my mother says, beaming with pride I've never seen directed at me. "You deserve to treat yourself." I drain my champagne in one gulp. The irony tastes worse than the bubbles. Because here's what nobody in this room knows. Victoria hasn't held a steady job in 3 years. She bounces between consulting gigs that sound impressive, but never seem to last longer than a few months. Titles like brand strategist and social media consultant that mean absolutely nothing, and every single month for the past 5 years, I've been the one keeping her afloat. Her car insurance, her credit card minimums, her personal loan payments, all of it flowing silently from my bank account to hers while she walks around in designer clothes and tells everyone how successful she is. $52,800. That's how much of my money has disappeared into Victoria's life. But nobody knows that. They just see the golden child who can do no wrong and the boring sister who crunches numbers. Dinner is announced, and I find myself wedged between Cousin Sarah and Uncle Marcus's new girlfriend, whose name I've already forgotten. Across from me, Victoria holds court at the table, telling elaborate stories about her latest business venture. Something about influencer marketing and luxury brand partnerships. She uses words like synergy and disruption that sound Important but mean nothing. Everyone hangs on her every word. Push turkey around my plate and try to remember why I agreed to come. Then Cousin Sarah leans toward me, lowering her voice. Elena, I've been meaning to ask you something about my student loans. The interest is killing me, and I thought maybe you'd have some advice, finally. Someone actually wants to talk to me about something I know. I lean in, genuinely interested. Actually, there's a program I just read about that could really help. If your income is below a certain threshold, not everyone wants to hear about math at dinner. Dear. My mother's voice cuts across 3 seats, sharp and precise. The table goes quiet. She smiles at Sarah like she's doing her a favor. Why don't you ask Victoria? She's great with money. My fork freezes halfway to my mouth. Victoria's laugh tinkles like ice in a crystal glass. Oh, Elena's always crunching numbers, she says, swirling her wine with practiced elegance. Then she pauses, looks directly at me, and delivers the line that will change everything. Always short on cash, though. It seems. My cheeks burn. The temperature in the dining room drops 10 degrees. I can feel every eye at the table swinging toward me, waiting for my response. I manage my money just fine, I say quietly. Victoria arches one perfect eyebrow. Do you? Then why are you always asking me for loans? The words hit me like a physical slap. 23 pairs of eyes ping-pong between us like we're in some kind of twisted tennis match. My heart is pounding so hard I can hear it in my ears, but my voice comes out steady. I've never asked you for money. Not once. Oh, please. Victoria rolls her eyes dramatically. You really should stop begging for money, Elena. It's embarrassing. The dining room might as well be a morgue. Nobody speaks. Nobody moves. And most importantly, nobody defends me. Not my mother, who knows exactly where the money flows in this family. Not my father, who signs my paychecks and knows my salary. Not a single relative who's known me my entire life. They all just sit there, absorbing Victoria's lie as if it's gospel truth. My father clears his throat, desperate to move past this moment. Speaking of embarrassing, did anyone catch the game last Sunday? That fourth quarter was something else, and just like that, conversation lurches forward, leaving my humiliation behind like roadkill nobody wants to acknowledge. I sit frozen in my chair, transported back 20 years to when I was 10 years old. My mother had taken all the money from my piggy bank to help buy Victoria a dance costume. Your sister needs it more than you do, she'd said, patting my head. You're the practical one, Elena. She has the recital coming up. The practical one. The responsible one. The one expected to sacrifice everything without complaint. I excuse myself when dessert arrives. In the powder room, I lock the door and pull out my phone with trembling hands. My banking app opens, and I stare at what I've been looking at for 5 years, but never had the courage to stop. 5 recurring payments. All to accounts with Victoria's name attached. Car insurance. 3 credit card minimums. Personal loan payment every single month. Like clockwork, $880 disappearing into my sister's lifestyle. I scroll back through the history. $52,800. 5 years of my life. My savings, my future, all poured into maintaining Victoria's perfect facade while she tells everyone I'm the one. Begging for money, my hands aren't trembling anymore. They're steady as I select the first payment and hit. Cancel, recurring payment canceled. Second. Payment. Cancel. Recurring payment canceled. Third. Payment. Cancel. Recurring payment canceled. Fourth. Payment. Cancel. Recurring payment canceled. Fifth. Payment. Cancel. Recurring. Payment canceled. I splash cold water on my face, dry it with one of my mother's decorative guest towels, and return to the dining room. My pumpkin pie sits in the center of the table with slices missing from its perfect crust. There you are, my mother says as I slide back into my seat. We started without you. That's fine. A strange calm has settled over me. I'm not really hungry for dessert anyway. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Bank notifications confirming each cancellation. My father offers me coffee. More coffee, Elena? I extend my cup with a genuine smile. Yes, I think I'll have a second helping, because for the first time in 5 years, Every penny of that $880 will stay exactly where it belongs, in my account, and Victoria has no idea what's coming. The next morning, I wake up to 37 missed calls. 37. I lie in bed staring at my phone screen, watching it light up again and again with Victoria's name flashing like a warning signal. The notifications scroll past faster than I can read them. Something's wrong with the payments. Call me now. Did you change banks? Payment failed. What did you do? The credit card company called Fix This. Each message more desperate than the last. More panicked, more angry, I silence my phone and get up to make coffee. My apartment feels different this morning. The morning light filters through my blinds the same way it always does, but something fundamental has shifted. Like, I've been walking around with a 100-pound weight on my shoulders and only just now realized I can put it down. I open my laptop at the small desk wedged between my kitchen and living room. Time to do what I do best. Organize the numbers. I create a new spreadsheet. Title it, Payment History, Victoria Cole. Then I pull up 5 years of banking records and start copying every single transaction. Every payment I made to keep my sister's perfect life intact while she told the world I was the broke one. Row after row after row, 3 credit card payments each month. The personal loan that was supposed to be just until my commission comes through. Car, insurance for the luxury SUV she absolutely needed for client meetings that never materialized. My fingers move with practiced precision, the same focus that makes me valuable at work. Each keystroke feels like reclaiming a piece of myself I didn't even know I'd lost. The total appears at the bottom of the column, $52,800. I stare at that number for a long moment. $52,800, nearly $900 every month for 5 years. Funneled silently into maintaining Victoria's facade while I wore the same black dress to family events because I couldn't justify buying new clothes. I save the document to 3 separate cloud locations. Evidence secured. My phone starts vibrating again. I glance at the screen without picking it up. Victoria. Again, 16 calls now. Over 40 messages in less than 24 hours. The messages have evolved from confusion to panic to pure rage. You're destroying me. How could you do this? I have bills, Elena. This is cruel. Mom and Dad are going to hear about this. I take a sip of my coffee and continue working on the spreadsheet. By mid-afternoon, the inevitable happens. My mother's name lights up my screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. Hello? Elena? My mother's voice carries that familiar tone of disappointment that's been the soundtrack of my life. What's going on? Victoria says you're refusing to help her with something. I take a breath. I've been paying her bills for 5 years, Mom. She told everyone yesterday that I begged her for money, so I stopped. Silence on the other end. Then a sharp intake of breath. That's not what she meant, my mother says quickly. You know how Victoria gets when she's nervous. She exaggerates. It wasn't an exaggeration. It was a lie, and everyone believed her. You're being dramatic. Family helps family, Elena. The words hit like they always do, designed to make me feel guilty for having boundaries. I helped for 5 years, I say, my voice steadier than I've ever heard it when speaking to my mother. That's $52,800 of my money. A long pause. I hear rustling as the phone changes hands. Elena, it's Dad. His voice sounds older suddenly, uncertain. What's this about money? Your sister says you've cut her off without warning. Did she tell you why she needs my money every month? She's been having cash flow problems with her business. You know that. Dad, she doesn't have a business. She hasn't had steady work in 3 years. Another long silence stretches between us. You've changed, he finally says. You used to be kind. The words strike deeper than I expected, but something new rises up to meet the pain. Clarity. I haven't changed, I reply calmly. I just stopped letting people use my kindness as their safety net. The shocked silence that follows tells me they've never considered our family dynamic from this angle. Ever. The call ends awkwardly with promises to talk about this later that we all know means we hope you come to your senses. I've barely set down my phone when it rings again. Cousin Sarah, this time. Hey, Elena, just checking in. You left Thanksgiving so suddenly. Her voice trails off, fishing for information. It was a difficult evening, I say carefully. Victoria's been messaging everyone, Sarah continues. Something about you backing out of a loan? I'm confused because she always seems so well off and you're always so careful with money. A bitter laugh escapes before I can stop it. I didn't back out of a loan. Sarah, I stopped making her monthly payments after 5 years of paying her bills. Wait. Sarah's voice sharpens. You've been paying her bills? But she has that huge house in Bellevue. The Range Rover. Those clothes. Mortgage to the limit, I reply. 3 maxed credit cards, 2 personal loans. Car lease 3 months behind. I've been covering the minimums for years. Holy shit, Elena. Sarah's shock comes through clearly. How much are we talking about? $52,800. The silence on her end stretches so long, I think the call dropped. No wonder you always turn down family trips, she finally whispers. We all thought you were just being, uptight about spending. But you literally couldn't afford them because you were funding Victoria's lifestyle. The truth of that statement settles in my chest like a stone. All those years of excuses. Work commitments, saving for a house, needing to be available for emergencies. When the truth was simpler and more painful, I couldn't afford both Victoria's lifestyle and my own existence in the same frame. After Sarah hangs up promising discretion, I know she won't keep. My phone pings with a text from Cousin Michael. About time someone stood up to the golden child. Call me if you need backup. The truth is spreading now. Reframing 5 years of family gatherings where Victoria arrived in designer clothes while I wore the same black dress with different accessories. Where she brought expensive wine while I baked from scratch because it was cheaper. Where she talked about exclusive resorts while I quietly mentioned staycations. I closed the spreadsheet and shut my laptop. The documentation is complete. The payments are canceled. The truth is loose in the wild. For the first time in 5 years, all $880 of my monthly Victoria payment will stay in my own account. The thought doesn't bring the satisfaction I expected. Just a hollow kind of relief. Like removing a splinter that's been embedded so long, you built your entire movement pattern around avoiding the pain. My phone lights up again. The notification count has climbed to 63. Tomorrow will bring more calls, more guilt, more pressure to return to my familiar role as the family's silent martyr. But tonight, the numbers are clear, and numbers, unlike sisters, don't lie. The family group chat notification lights up my phone at 6:47 the next morning. I'm still warm under my comforter. That perfect space between sleep and waking where the world hasn't crashed in yet. I reach for my phone and immediately wish I hadn't. Victoria's message glows on the screen. Please keep Elena in your prayers during this difficult time. Mental health struggles can manifest in many ways, including financial jealousy and irrational behavior. I stare at the ceiling, counting the gentle popcorn ridges to keep myself from hurling my phone across the room. Within seconds, responses flood in. Oh no, what happened? Sending love, Elena. We're here for you, sweetie. Should we organize a care package? Nobody asks what prompted this announcement. Nobody questions its validity. Victoria's word is gospel, and I am suddenly cast as the unstable family member having a breakdown. My mother calls within minutes. Elena Marie Harper. Her voice carries that particular tone reserved for grave disappointments. You need to fix this before you damage your reputation permanently. Fix what exactly? I slide out of bed, padding toward my kitchen to start coffee. Don't play dumb. Victoria is devastated. Your father can barely look at his phone when she texts about you. She pauses for effect. We raised you better than this. The coffee maker gurgles as I measure grounds with practiced precision. Did you ask Victoria exactly what I've done? She showed me the bank notifications. All those payments suddenly canceled. My mother's voice drops to an accusatory whisper. She has bills, Elena, responsibilities. So do I. The words come out stronger than I intended, and I can practically hear my mother recoil on the other end. This isn't like you, she continues. The daughter I raised would never abandon her sister. I watch coffee drip steadily into the pot, black and clarifying. The daughter you raised has been paying Victoria's bills for 5 years while she told everyone I begged her for. Money. The silence that follows is so complete I check to make sure the call didn't drop. I'm going to be late for work, I say, an unprecedented act of rebellion. Give Dad my love. I end the call before she can respond. My hands aren't shaking. That surprises me. I open Facebook to find Victoria's latest performance. A tastefully filtered photo of her staring pensively out a window, captioned, "Heartbroken when family members struggle with jealousy. Praying for healing during this difficult time." 27 sympathetic comments already. Stay strong, girl. Family can be so toxic. You deserve better. Some people can't handle other people's success. I close the app without responding. Two can play the waiting game, and I'm very, very good at patience. When I arrive at the office, something unexpected happens. I work better than I have in months. Client documentation flows through my review process with unusual efficiency. Spreadsheets that normally require double-checking seem crystal clear on first pass. Numbers align perfectly. Errors jump out immediately. "You seem more focused lately," my manager comments during our afternoon check-in. "Whatever you're doing, keep it up. What I'm doing is keeping an extra $880 a month in my bank account. What I'm doing is sleeping through the night for the first time in years without anxiety dreams about overdraft fees. That evening, I do something I haven't allowed myself in 5 years. I go shopping, not at discount stores or clearance racks. I walk into a real furniture store and purchase a new desk for my home office. Solid oak, beautiful brass handles, the kind of piece that makes a room feel permanent and valuable. As I enter my credit card information, I experience none of the usual anxiety about spending on myself. No mental calculations about how this purchase might affect my ability to cover Victoria's car insurance or credit card minimums. The revelation settles in my stomach like a stone. I've been living below my means. Not from frugality or wise financial planning, but to fund my sister's excess. My phone buzzes with another notification. Victoria has posted again. This time, it's a quote graphic with soft pastel colors. Sometimes the people who claim to love you the most are the ones who hurt you the deepest. 63 likes. 42 comments of support. I screenshot it and add it to a folder I've started on my phone. Documentation, evidence, truth. Because here's what Victoria doesn't know. Here's what none of them know. I'm an auditor. This is literally what I do for a living. I find discrepancies. I trace money trails. I document irregularities and present them in ways that are impossible to dispute. And I've been documenting everything. The true test of my resolve arrives 3 days later. I'm returning from lunch, walking through the sleek glass lobby of my office building, when I spot her, Victoria. She's standing near the reception desk. Designer sunglasses perched above perfect makeup, hair styled in that effortlessly expensive way that actually takes 2 hours and $300 to achieve. The moment she sees me, she launches into action. "How could you abandon me like this?" Her voice echoes through the lobby, loud enough to stop every conversation in the space. "After everything I've done for you..." Heads turn. My coworkers slow their pace. The security guard near the elevators shifts his weight, suddenly alert. I keep my voice measured and low. "This isn't the place to discuss your financial problems, Victoria." "Financial problems?" She laughs, the sound high and brittle, designed to convey shock and hurt. "You're the one who's always needed my help. And now when I need you, just temporarily, you cut me off completely." A junior analyst from my department freezes near the door, pretending to check her phone while clearly absorbing every word. The security guard takes a step closer, concerned by Victoria's rising volume. "Call me when you're ready to talk about repayment plans," I say quietly. The word hangs between us like a grenade with its pin removed. Repayment? Victoria's tears vanish instantly. The transformation would be impressive if I hadn't seen it countless times before. The immediate shift from wounded victim to cold calculation when manipulation fails. Her eyes narrow. Voice dropping to a hiss only I can hear. "This isn't over." She turns sharply. Stiletto heels clicking against marble and exits through the revolving doors. I watch her go, feeling oddly calm in the aftermath of what should have been a devastating confrontation. My phone buzzes immediately. A text from Victoria. "You'll regret embarrassing me like that." I screenshot it and add it to my evidence folder. Then I go upstairs and have the most productive afternoon of my quarter. That evening, my phone rings with a number I don't recognize. I almost decline until I see the area code. Bellevue, Victoria's neighborhood, I answer. Hello? Elena? A man's voice, strained. It's Evan, Victoria's husband. I freeze with my apartment door half open, keys dangling from my fingers. I need to talk to you, he continues. About everything. About Victoria. About the money. I step inside and close the door carefully. I'm listening. I had no idea. His voice cracks slightly. About any of it. The payments. The debt. All of it. She hid everything from me. I sink onto my couch, phone pressed to my ear. How much does she owe you? Evan asks. $52,800. Over 5 years. The silence on his end stretches so long I check to make sure the call is still connected. Jesus Christ, his voice barely above a whisper. That's nearly our entire emergency fund. I thought we had $50,000 saved. But if she's been receiving $900 a month from you, she told you about savings? I asked carefully. She showed me statements. I never questioned them because Victoria handles all our finances. She said she was good with money, a bitter laugh. God, I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot, Evan. She's very convincing. There's more. He takes a breath. I started digging after your confrontation at Thanksgiving. The house isn't paid down like she told me. We're mortgaged to the limit. 3 credit cards maxed out. Personal loans I didn't know existed. The Range Rover is 3 months behind on lease payments. My stomach tightens. How bad is it? Total debt around $96,000. And that's not counting what she owes you. I close my eyes, absorbing the scope of Victoria's deception. I'm so sorry, Evan says, for what she said at Thanksgiving. For using your money all these years, for everything. Does she know you're calling me? No. She's out with her mother right now, probably telling her another version of how terrible you are. His voice hardens. But that ends today. We're meeting with a financial counselor next week. She's getting a job, a real job with hours and a paycheck. And we're starting a payment plan to pay you back. Evan. I mean it, Elena. What she did is theft. Family or not, it's theft. And I won't let her get away with it anymore. After the call ends, I sit in my quiet apartment processing this information. Victoria's husband is on my side. The golden. Child's perfect marriage is fracturing under the weight of her lies, and the truth is spreading faster than Victoria can spin new stories to contain it. My phone lights up with a notification from the family group chat. Cousin. Michael has posted, anyone else find it weird that Victoria drives a Range Rover and wears Prada but supposedly has money problems? Just saying. The responses start immediately, now that you mention it. I always wondered how she afforded that house. Didn't Elena say she's been paying Victoria's bills? Wait, what? Someone fill me in. I watch the conversation unfold. Family members finally asking the questions they should have asked years ago. The narrative is shifting, and I didn't have to say a single word. Saturday morning brings an unexpected knock on my apartment door. Through the peephole, I see Cousin Sarah holding 2 large shopping bags. I open the door, confused. Sarah? Lunch delivery, she announces, breezing past me into the apartment. From your favorite deli, and we need to talk. She starts unpacking containers on my small dining table. Sandwiches, soup, cookies that smell freshly baked. Victoria's been messaging everyone, Sarah says without preamble, trying to control the narrative. But the real story is getting out. I sink into a chair. What version is spreading? Sarah looks up from arranging food. The truth. Michael called me yesterday after talking to your dad. Is it true Victoria owes you over $50,000? $52,800. Sarah's hand freezes halfway to her mouth, sandwich suspended in air. Jesus, Elena, and she has that huge house in Bellevue. The car, the clothes. All financed, I reply. Mortgage to the limit. Maxed credit cards. Personal loans. Car lease 3 months behind. I've been covering minimum payments for years just to keep her afloat. She was using you. Sarah's voice turns hard with anger. This entire time while acting like the successful one. While letting everyone think you were the struggling sister. My throat tightens. Pretty much. How much is her total debt? $96,000, according to her husband. Holy shit. Sarah sets down her sandwich completely. No wonder you always turn down family trips. We all thought you were just being cautious with money, but you literally couldn't afford them because you were funding Victoria's fake lifestyle. The words land like punches, each one true and painful. For 5 years, I watched my family take expensive vacations I couldn't join, celebrate at restaurants I couldn't afford, exchange gifts I couldn't match. Not because I didn't make good money, but because $900 of my income vanished every single month into Victoria's bottomless need to appear successful. My phone buzzes, a notification from a new group chat. The name makes me blink. Team Elena. Inside are messages from cousins I barely talk to, aunts and uncles I see once a year. Even my grandmother has somehow joined. We're behind you. Elena. Victoria needs to take responsibility. This has gone on long enough. Family means being honest, not being a doormat. Tears prick at my eyes. Unexpected, unwelcome. See? Sarah squeezes my hand across the table. You're not alone anymore. My phone rings. Unknown number again. Want me to answer it? Sarah offers. I shake my head and accept the call. Hello, Elena? It's Evan, Victoria's husband. Sarah's eyes widen. I put the phone on speaker. Hi, Evan. I'm here with my cousin Sarah. Good. You should have witnesses for this. He takes a breath. I need to tell you something. I've been going through our finances since we last talked. Really going through them. And it's worse than I thought. My stomach drops. How much worse? Victoria has been creative. That $50,000 I thought we had in savings? It doesn't exist. She was showing me doctored screenshots. And the consulting work she claimed she was doing? Those weren't real clients. She was taking money from her mother and telling me it was consulting fees. Sarah's mouth falls open. Your mother was giving her money too? I ask. $20,000 over the past 2 years. Evan's voice is hollow. Which she told me was payment for marketing work. But when I called your mother yesterday, she admitted it was just helping Victoria out because family helps family. The familiar phrase makes my jaw clench. There's more, Evan continues. The Range Rover isn't leased. Victoria bought it with a loan she took out in both our names without telling me. We're $40,000 in debt just on the car. Oh my God, Sarah whispers. I'm filing for separation, Evan says quietly. And I wanted you to know before Victoria spins it as something else. I can't be married to someone who's been lying about everything for years. After the call ends, Sarah and I sit in stunned silence. Victoria's entire world is collapsing, and it started with me simply stopping the payments I should have never been making in the first place. You did the right thing, Sarah says firmly. You know that, right? I nod, but the truth is complicated. 5 years, $52,000, an entire relationship destroyed, a family fractured down the middle, all because I finally said no. My phone buzzes again. This time it's my father. I take a breath and answer. Hi, Dad. I've been looking at the statements you sent. His voice sounds older, tired. All these years. You've been... He trails off, unable to complete the thought. Yes, I say simply. Why didn't you tell us? The question hangs in the air, heavy with everything unsaid. Would you have believed me? I ask quietly. The silence that follows is answer enough. We should talk, he finally says. All of us. Maybe Sunday dinner at our place. Not yet, I reply, surprising myself with the boundary. I need some time. Of course. He says it too quickly. Whatever you need, sweetheart. Whatever I need. The words sound strange coming from my father. Whatever I needed has never been the priority before. After we hang up, Sarah pulls me into a fierce hug. I'm proud of you, she says, for finally choosing yourself. That night, I lie in bed scrolling through my phone. The family group chat has split into 2 camps, those who support Victoria and those who support me. The messages fly back and forth, accusations and defenses piling up like casualties in a war nobody wanted. But underneath the chaos, something else is happening. People are starting to ask questions. Real questions. How did Victoria afford that lifestyle? Why didn't anyone notice the discrepancies? What kind of family lets this happen for 5 years without intervening? The perfect family image is cracking, and for the first time in my life, I'm not the one responsible for holding it. Together. The knock comes at 11:42 p.m. 3 thunderous blows that rattle my apartment door on its hinges. I know who it is before I even look through the peephole. Victoria stands in the harsh hallway light, arms wrapped around herself. Her hair hangs limp around her face. No makeup, no designer clothes. Just faded jeans and a plain t-shirt I've never seen her wear. For a moment, I consider not opening the door, but curiosity wins. I unlock the deadbolt and pull the door open, blocking the entrance with my body. It's nearly midnight. Please, her voice cracks. I'm falling apart, Elle. Evan knows everything. The nickname hits me. Elle. She hasn't called me that since we were kids. Family knows everything. I need you. For a split second, I see the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, seeking comfort from her practical older sister who was never afraid of the noise. But then, I remember Thanksgiving. Her voice dripping with false concern in front of 24 relatives. You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing. I step aside anyway. Come in. Victoria rushes past me, pacing my small living room like a caged animal. Her fingers twist together, nails bitten down, another thing I've never seen before. The perfect manicure is gone. The credit card companies won't stop calling, she says, voice rising with each word. I've blocked 8 different numbers, but they just use new ones. And the Range Rover, her voice catches. They're repossessing it next week. I close the door and lean against it, watching her performance. Because that's what this is, another performance. Mom and Dad are heartbroken, she continues, turning to face me with red-rimmed eyes. You're tearing this family apart with this. This vendetta? The word lands wrong. Calculated. Would you like some water? I ask calmly. She blinks, thrown by my lack of reaction. What? No, I don't want water. I want you to understand what you're doing to me. I walk to the kitchen anyway, filling a glass from the tap. When I return, Victoria is standing by my bookshelf, staring at a photo of us as children. She's in a princess costume. I'm wearing overalls and holding a calculator. If I lose everything, it's on you, she says without looking at me. Is that what you want? To see me fail? I set the water on the coffee table. Sit down, Victoria. She whirls around. I don't want to sit down. I want you to fix this. Sit down. Something in my voice makes her obey. She perches on the edge of my couch, hands gripping her knees. I sit across from her in the armchair. I've helped you for 5 years. I know, and I'm so grateful. Let me finish. My voice is quiet but firm. 5 years, $52,800. I have records of every payment. Her face shifts from vulnerable to defensive in an instant. It wasn't that much. You're exaggerating to make me look bad. Without a word, I open my laptop on the coffee table between us. The spreadsheet illuminates both our faces in the dim apartment. Row after row after row. Dates, amounts, account numbers. Notes documenting her desperate calls, her elaborate excuses, her promises to pay me back next month for sure this time. 5 years of financial bleeding, laid out in the language I speak best. Numbers that don't lie. This is... Victoria's voice falters. You kept all of this? I'm an auditor, Victoria. Documentation is literally what I do. She stares at the screen, and I watch her brain work through various angles of attack. I can almost see her cycling through manipulation tactics like shuffling a deck of cards. You're doing this to hurt me, she finally tries. You always needed to be the perfect one, the responsible one. This makes you feel superior. Read the dates, I say, pointing to the screen. June 14th, 2019. You called me crying because your credit card was declined at Nordstrom. You needed $800 immediately, or you'd be humiliated in front of your friends. Victoria looks away. September 3rd, 2020, I continue. You texted me at 2 a.m. saying if I didn't cover your car insurance payment, Evan would find out you'd let it lapse. $920. Stop, she whispers. March 16th, 2021. You showed up at my office sobbing because... Stop! Victoria's voice cracks. Just stop. The silence that follows is heavy. Real. Why did you say it? I asked quietly. At Thanksgiving. Why did you tell everyone I begged you for money when you knew it was the opposite? Victoria's hands are shaking now. Because she takes a ragged breath. Because everyone was looking at me like I was successful and looking at you like you were boring. And for once, I wanted that to be true. I wanted to be the one who had it together. The one who helps instead of always needing help. So you lied. I panicked. Tears spill down her cheeks, and for the first time, they look real. Cousin Sarah asked you for advice about money in front of everyone, and Mom redirected her to me, and I couldn't admit that I'm a complete mess. That my successful sister has been funding my fake life for 5 years. She covers her face with her hands. Do you know what it's like? Her voice is muffled. Growing up next to you? Perfect grades, stable career, actual skills. I had nothing, just looks and charm and the ability to make people like me, and even those are fading. I watch her cry, feeling a complicated mix of anger and pity. I wanted people to admire me the way they admire you, Victoria continues. But I didn't know how to earn it, so I just bought it. The clothes, the car, the house, all of it designed to make people think I was someone worth admiring. You could have asked for help, I say. Real help, instead of stealing from me for 5 years. It wasn't stealing, she protests weakly. I offered to help you through a rough month. 5 years ago, once, and you never stopped asking. Victoria's shoulders slump. I know. You told 24 family members. I was begging you for money. No. You called me jealous, unstable, accused me of having mental health problems in the family group. Chat. I know. Her voice breaks. I know, Elena. I know I'm a terrible person. Is that what you want to hear? I close the laptop. What I want is for you to take responsibility. Real responsibility. Not this performance where you cry and apologize and expect everything to go back to normal. What do you want from me? Victoria looks up, mascara-free tears streaming down her face. I'll do anything. I want you to get a job. A real job. I want you to stop living beyond your means. I want you to go to financial counseling. And I want you to pay me back. All of it? Her voice is small. Every penny. Victoria nods slowly. It'll take years. Then it takes years. She stands, wiping her face with the back of her hand. At my door, she pauses. I really am sorry, Elle, for all of it. I know you are. But sorry doesn't pay back $52,000. After she leaves, I stand in my quiet apartment feeling strangely empty. This was supposed to feel like victory, like justice. Instead, it just feels like the end of something I didn't know I was mourning. My phone buzzes. A text from my mother. Victoria told us everything. Your father and I need to see you. Please. I set the phone down without responding. Tomorrow. I'll deal with tomorrow. Tonight. I just need to breathe. The text from Evan arrives 1 week later, formal and ominous. Family meeting. Our house. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Your parents, a few others. This needs to end. I stare at the message for a long moment, my stomach tightening. In the week since Victoria's midnight confession, our family has fractured into warring factions. My mother calls daily with tearful pleas. My father sends emails with subject lines like, "We need to talk," and "Family first." Cousins text their support or their condemnation, depending on which version of events they believe. The family group chat has become a battlefield. What surprises me most is Evan's sudden involvement. In 6 years of marriage to Victoria, he's always been the pleasant, detached brother-in-law who made polite conversation at holidays and never got involved in family drama. When I arrive at their house the next day, I'm struck by how different it looks, smaller than I remembered. The carefully curated exterior now seems like a stage set missing its props. The Range Rover is gone from the driveway, replaced by a modest Honda Civic with a car-sharing service sticker on the bumper. Evan opens the door before I can knock. Thank you for coming. His face is drawn, older than it was 2 weeks ago. I know this is difficult. Inside, the living room has been transformed into a makeshift courtroom. My mother and father sit rigidly on the sofa. Uncle Richard and Aunt Margaret occupy the armchairs. Grandmother sits in a dining chair someone brought in, her spine straight, hands folded in her lap. Victoria is nowhere to be seen. Where's... I begin. She'll join us shortly, Evan interrupts. He gestures to an empty chair positioned as if I'm about to give testimony. Please, sit. I lower myself into the chair, feeling like I'm walking into an ambush. This is ridiculous, my mother starts immediately. Family disagreements should stay private. This stopped being a private disagreement when Victoria publicly accused Elena of begging for money, Evan says, his voice steady. And when she spent 5 years secretly draining her sister's bank account. My father shifts uncomfortably. We're not here to assign blame. Yes, we are. Evan places a thick manila folder on the coffee table with a sound like a gavel. Because it's time everyone understood exactly what's been happening, he opens the folder. Credit card statements spill across the table. Over the past 5 years, Evan begins, his tone formal, almost rehearsed. Victoria has accumulated personal debt totaling $96,500, my mother gasps. That can't be right. It is. Evan spreads the statements across the table like evidence. That includes the $52,800 that Elena has been paying in secret. Money that Victoria told me came from a trust fund from grandmother. Grandmother's sharp intake of breath cuts through the room. I never set up any such thing. Evan nods. I know that now. Victoria lied to me for years about our financial situation. She showed me doctored bank statements, fake consulting invoices, an entire fabricated reality designed to hide the fact that we were drowning in debt. He pulls out more documents. These show regular purchases from Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue. Designer clothes, jewelry, handbags, all purchased to maintain the appearance of success while we were months behind on actual bills. My father leans forward, studying the papers with growing horror. This doesn't make sense. Victoria always seemed so financially stable. That's because Elena was keeping her afloat, Evan says, meeting my eyes across the room. $880. Every single month. For 5 years, Uncle Richard whistles low. Jesus. While Elena lived in a 1-bedroom apartment and wore the same dress to family events, Aunt Margaret adds quietly, her voice heavy with realization. We all thought she was just frugal. She was frugal because she was funding Victoria's lifestyle, Evan says. He turns to my parents. Did you know about this? My mother looks away. My father's silence is answer enough. You knew. I hear myself say it, voice flat. You both knew she was taking money from me. We thought it was temporary, my mother tries. Just helping each other out. For 5 years? Victoria said you offered. Once. My voice rises. I offered once. She never stopped asking. And you never questioned why your successful daughter needed constant help from her supposedly struggling sister. The room falls silent. Evan clears his throat. There's more. He pulls out another set of documents. Victoria also received $20,000 from your mother over the past 2 years. Money she told me was payment for marketing consulting work. My father's head snaps toward my mother. You gave her $20,000? She needed help, my mother says defensively. Family helps family. Did you give Elena $20,000? Grandmother asks, her voice sharp. My mother's silence is damning. Of course not, I say quietly. Because I never asked. That's because you're responsible, my father tries. We could trust you to manage your money. No. The word comes out harder than I intended. It's because you always expected me to be the one who gives. Never the one who receives. I was the practical one, the reliable one, the one who could handle it. I stand unable to sit anymore. Do you know what it's like to watch Victoria arrive at family gatherings in designer clothes while I'm calculating whether I can afford new tires? To hear her talk about vacations I couldn't join because I was paying her credit card bills? To be called boring and jealous and struggling when I was literally funding her entire lifestyle? My voice cracks. And then at Thanksgiving, in front of everyone, she said I begged her for money. And not one of you defended me. Not one. The silence that follows is absolute. We should have seen it, Grandmother says finally, her voice heavy with disappointment. We should have asked more questions. The sound of a door opening makes everyone turn. Victoria enters from the hallway, wearing jeans and a plain navy sweater. Her hair is pulled back in a simple ponytail. No makeup. No jewelry. She looks smaller somehow. Diminished. I'm sorry, she says, voice barely above a whisper. She's looking at me, only at me, for all of it. The lying, the stealing, the humiliation, everything. Sit down, Victoria, Evan says, not unkindly. She perches on the edge of the sofa, as far from our parents as possible. Evan pulls out one final document. This is a promissory note, a legal agreement for Victoria to repay Elena the full $52,800 with interest over the next 10 years. $600 per month. He slides it across the table toward Victoria. Sign it. Victoria picks up the pen with shaking hands. What if I can't make a payment? Then we'll work it out, Evan says. But you will pay her back, every penny, even if it takes 20 years. Victoria signs the document, her signature shaky but legible. Evan slides it to me next. Elena? I stare at the paper. This is real, legal, binding. I sign. There's one more thing, Evan says, addressing my parents. Victoria and I are separating. She'll be moving in with you until she can afford her own place. My mother's face goes white. What? She needs stability, Evan continues. And accountability. Living with you will provide both. She starts working full-time at Cascade Boutique on Monday. She'll pay you rent, help with household expenses, learn to live within her means. This is extreme, my father protests. No, Evan says firmly. This is necessary, and long overdue, he turns to me. Thank you, Elena, for finally standing up to this. It couldn't have been easy, I nod, not trusting my voice. As the meeting dissolves, family members file out with awkward goodbyes and averted eyes. Victoria approaches me at the door. I really am sorry, she says again. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I mean it. I know you do. I meet her eyes. But sorry isn't enough anymore. I'll pay you back, she promises. Every dollar. I swear, we'll see. As I walk to my car, grandmother catches up with me. You did the right thing, she says, squeezing my hand. Even when it was hard, especially when it was hard, it doesn't feel right, I admit. It just feels sad. That's because you have a good heart. Grandmother's eyes are bright with unshed tears. But a good heart doesn't mean being a doormat. It means knowing when to help and when to step back and let people face their own consequences. Driving home, I feel hollowed out, empty in a way that isn't entirely unpleasant. The weight is gone, the secret is out, the truth has been spoken, and tomorrow, for the first time in 5 years, I'll wake up without the burden of being Victoria's silent savior. 6 months pass like watching ice melt, slowly, inevitably, irreversibly. The first payment arrives on the 15th of December. $600, exactly on time. I stare at the banking notification on my phone, sitting in my apartment on a Tuesday morning. The money feels different than when it was flowing out. Heavier, more complicated. A text follows 30 seconds later. First payment sent. 99 more to go. I don't respond. Not yet. Instead, I open the spreadsheet I've been maintaining. A new one. Not the record of money lost, but the record of money returning. Payment 1. $600. Date. Status. Received. 99 more rows wait below, empty and expectant. The family dynamics have shifted like tectonic plates rearranging after an earthquake. My mother calls less frequently now. When she does, there's a new hesitancy in her voice, like she's speaking to someone she doesn't quite recognize. How are you doing? She asks one Saturday afternoon. Not, when are you coming for dinner? Or, Victoria needs you? Or, family should forgive. Just, how are you doing? I'm good, Mom. Really good. And I mean it. My apartment has transformed over the past 6 months. The new oak desk in my home office. A real couch, not a hand-me-down from someone's garage. Art on the walls. Plants that I actually take care of. My investment account has grown by 12%. My emergency fund is fully funded for the first time in my adult life. I've started contributing to a house down payment fund. These aren't massive changes, but they're mine. Built with money that used to disappear into Victoria's bottomless need to appear successful. Cousin Sarah texts me one evening. Wine night tomorrow? I want to hear how you're actually doing. We meet at a wine bar I would never have considered 6 months ago. Not because it's expensive, but because I wouldn't have let myself enjoy it. You look different, Sarah says, studying me over her glass. More relaxed? I sleep better now, I admit. No more anxiety dreams about overdraft fees or missed payments. How's Victoria doing? I swirl my wine. She's working, living with Mom and Dad, making her payments on time. That's good, right? It's complicated. I take a sip. Part of me wants to be happy that she's finally taking responsibility. But part of me is still angry about the 5 years she stole from me. Both things can be true, Sarah says gently. My phone buzzes. A text from Victoria. Can we talk? Coffee sometime? I show Sarah the message. What are you going to say? She asks. I don't know yet. 3 days later, I find myself sitting across from Victoria in a modest coffee shop. She arrives exactly on time. Wearing work clothes, khaki pants and a simple blouse with the Cascade Boutique logo embroidered on the pocket. No designer labels. No statement jewelry. Just my sister, looking tired and real and present in a way I haven't seen in years. Thanks for meeting me, Victoria says, wrapping her hands around her coffee cup. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. We sit in uncomfortable silence for a moment. I hate my job, Victoria says suddenly, then laughs. Is that terrible to admit? I spent 5 years pretending I was too good for regular work. And now I'm folding clothes for $9 an hour. And I absolutely hate it. But you're still doing it. Because I don't have a choice anymore. She looks down at her chipped nail polish. Evan filed for divorce last week. It's final in 6 months. I'm sorry. Don't be. Victoria's smile is sad but genuine. He deserves better than someone who lied to him for years. And honestly, I need to figure out who I am without the designer clothes and the fake lifestyle. She pulls out her phone and shows me a budgeting app. Look, Evan set this up for me. I track every dollar, every expense. It's humiliating and necessary, and I hate it. Victoria, no, let me finish. She takes a breath. I've been going to therapy. Real therapy, not just complaining to Mom about how unfair everything is. And my therapist asked me why I did it, why I took your money for 5 years. What did you tell her? That I was jealous, Victoria's voice cracks. You were always the smart one. The capable one. The one everyone could rely on. And I was just pretty. That was my only value. And when that started fading, I panicked. I bought things to make myself feel valuable again. She wipes her eyes. But it never worked. No matter how much I spent, I still felt empty. Because I wasn't actually building anything real. I was just constructing a facade. And you were the one paying for it. I don't know what to say. I don't expect you to forgive me, Victoria continues. Not now. Maybe not ever. But I want you to know that I see what I did. I see how wrong it was. And I'm trying to be better. The payments help, I say honestly. They're not just money. They're proof that you're taking responsibility. Victoria nods. 98 more to go. After she leaves, I sit alone with my cooling coffee, processing. This is what healing looks like, I realize. Not dramatic, not satisfying, just slow, incremental progress towards something that resembles normal. That evening, my father calls. I owe you an apology, he says without preamble. A real one, not the half-hearted version I gave at Evan's house. I wait. We failed you, he continues, his voice thick. Your mother and I. We saw Victoria struggling and decided you were strong enough to handle being her safety net. We prioritized her needs over your well-being because we told ourselves you didn't need us the way she did. Dad, let me finish. He takes a shaky breath. You deserved parents who protected you too, who asked if you needed help, who noticed when you were sacrificing yourself. And we didn't do that. We just took your strength for granted. Tears blur my vision. Thank you for saying that. I'm proud of you, he says. For standing up for yourself, for setting boundaries, for being stronger than we gave you credit for. After the call ends, I curl up on my new couch, the one I bought with money that would have gone to Victoria's credit card payment, and let myself cry. Not from sadness. From relief. The validation I've been craving for 30 years has finally arrived, and while it doesn't erase the past 5 years, it makes the future feel a little less heavy. My phone buzzes with another notification. The Team Elena group chat. Cousin Michael. Elena's birthday dinner next month. Who's in? We're celebrating properly this year. Responses flood in immediately. Commitments, enthusiasm, support. For the first time in my life, I'm not the forgotten daughter who gets the obligatory card and a perfunctory phone call. I'm the one people are planning celebrations for. The shift is subtle but profound. I respond to the chat. "You guys don't have to do this," Michael replies instantly. "We want to. You deserve it. And maybe, I think as I close my phone, maybe I do." The weight of a homemade apple pie steadies my hands as I stand at the threshold of Evan and Victoria's old house, except it's not their house anymore, it's just Evan's. Now, downsized, modest, simple Tudor-style home in a quiet neighborhood. That doesn't require pretending to be something you're not. Through the leaded glass panels, I can see Thanksgiving decorations. Nothing elaborate, just simple autumn touches that feel honest and warm. I almost canceled this morning, texted some excuse about work or illness or anything to avoid the complexity of this moment. But then I thought about the 12 payments sitting in my account. 12 months of Victoria keeping her promise. Not perfectly, not without reminders, but consistently, and I thought maybe I owed it to myself to see what 1 year of truth has built. My father opens the door. "There she is," he says, and his voice carries something I've never heard before. Respect, not our number cruncher or always punctual or any other. Backhanded compliment disguised as praise, just genuine respect. I step inside, breathing in the scent of roasting turkey and sage. My dress, a new one, deep forest green, that I bought without calculating how it would affect Victoria's payments, fits perfectly. "You look beautiful," my mother says, kissing my cheek. And this time the gesture feels genuine. Dinner's almost ready. The dining room holds 8 place settings instead of last year's 24. No crystal chandelier. No performance. Just family who's learning to be honest with each other. Victoria emerges from the kitchen carrying a platter of turkey. She's wearing jeans and a cream-colored sweater. No labels visible. No statement pieces. Hair in a simple ponytail. She looks tired. Real. Human. "Thanks for coming," she says, meeting my eyes. "I wasn't sure you would." I wasn't sure either, I admit honestly. Evan nods toward the table. "Please, everyone, sit." As we settle into our chairs, I notice the small details that speak volumes. The modest table settings, the simple decorations, the absence of expensive wine bottles and elaborate centerpieces. This is what living honestly looks like. When everyone is seated, Evan raises his water glass. "I'd like to propose a toast." The room quiets. He looks at Victoria. To honesty, even when it's difficult. To accountability, even when it hurts. To family who tells us the truth instead of what we want to hear. Victoria's eyes glisten. She raises her glass. And to second chances, even when we don't deserve them. Her eyes find mine across the table. I raise my glass. To boundaries, and the people who respect them. We drink in silence, and the weight of the past year settles over us like snow. Dinner conversation flows differently than it has in decades. Uncle Richard talks about his recovery from heart surgery without minimizing it. Cousin Sarah shares her promotion without downplaying her success. My parents discuss their retirement concerns without pretending everything is perfect. No one performs. No one competes. We just exist together in honesty. Halfway through the meal, Victoria's phone buzzes. She glances at it, then looks at me. Payment reminder. 15th is coming up. "I know," I say. "I haven't missed one yet." "I know that too." She nods, something passing between us that doesn't need words. Not forgiveness, not yet, but acknowledgement. Progress. After dinner, I help Victoria clear the table. In the kitchen, she pauses. "Can I ask you something?" Her voice is quiet. "Do you think you'll ever forgive me? Really forgive me?" I consider the question carefully. I don't know. Maybe. But forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. Or going back to how things were. "I don't want to go back," Victoria says quickly. "The person I was before? She was miserable. Constantly performing. Never feeling like enough." She rinses a plate under the running water. "Now I'm just me, broke, working retail, living with mom and dad. But at least it's real. Real is harder, I observe. Real is exhausting." She manages a smile. But it's also the first time in years I've slept through the night without anxiety about which lie I need to maintain. Later, as the evening winds down, my grandmother pulls me aside. "You're different," she says, studying my face. "Lighter somehow." I feel lighter. I smile. Turns out not funding someone else's lifestyle frees up a lot of emotional energy. And financial energy too, I'd wager. Her eyes twinkle. "Your mother mentioned you're looking at houses." "Maybe next year," I say. My down payment fund isn't quite there yet, but it's growing, steadily, with money that used to evaporate into Victoria's needs. As I prepare to leave, Victoria walks me to my car. "I know I say this every time," she begins, "but I really am grateful for not giving up on me completely, for accepting the payments, for showing up today." "The payments aren't a gift," I remind her. "They're a debt being repaid." "I know." She hugs herself against the November chill. "But you could have taken legal action, involved lawyers, made this much harder, and you didn't." "Don't mistake mercy for weakness," I say, unlocking my car. "I documented everything. If you miss payments or fall back into old patterns, I have every record I need. I know that too." Victoria's smile is sad but real. "And honestly, it helps, knowing you're watching, knowing there are consequences. It keeps me honest. Driving home, I feel a complicated mix of emotions, not triumph, not satisfaction, just a quiet peace that comes from knowing I chose myself, from knowing that boundaries aren't cruelty. There's self-respect. My phone buzzes. A text from cousin Sarah. "That went better than expected." I respond, "Baby steps," because that's what healing is. Not dramatic revelations or perfect reconciliations, just slow, incremental progress towards something that resembles healthy. Back in my apartment, I open my laptop out of habit. 2 spreadsheets sit in my documents folder. The first, payment history, Victoria Cole, debt owed. $52,800. 5 years of silent sacrifice. The second, payment history, Victoria Cole, repayment. 12 rows filled. 88 rows waiting. I don't check them as obsessively as I used to. The daily monitoring has given way to weekly glances. The consuming need to document has faded into routine maintenance. I'm no longer defined by Victoria's debt. I'm defined by my own choices. Opening my journal, a new habit I've developed over the past year, I write, Thanksgiving, year 2. Victoria made her payment on time. The family ate together without lies. Dad apologized again. Mom actually listened. I'm not sure if this is forgiveness or just acceptance, but it's something, and something is better than nothing. I close the journal and look around my apartment. The home I've built with money that used to fund someone else's fantasy. Tomorrow I'll make coffee in my expensive machine, sit at my beautiful oak desk, work on projects that challenge and fulfill me. Next month I'll receive payment number 13, and the month after that, number 14, 86, more to go. 8 more years of this slow, complicated healing, but for the first time in a decade, I'm not carrying anyone else's weight, I'm just carrying my own, and it feels like freedom. 3 years have passed since that Thanksgiving. I'm standing in the kitchen of my new house. Yes, my house, purchased 8 months ago with a down payment I saved without anyone else's financial crisis, derailing my plans, when my phone buzzes. Payment notification. $600. Payment 42 of 100. Victoria has never missed a single one. I stir my coffee and look out the window at my small backyard. There's a garden back there that I planted last spring. Tomatoes, herbs, flowers that exist just because they're beautiful. The house is modest. A 2-bedroom craftsman in a quiet neighborhood. But it's mine. Every square foot purchased with money I earned and kept. My phone rings. Victoria's name appears. Our relationship has evolved into something neither of us expected. Not close, not like it was when we were children, but not enemies either, something in between, something honest. "Hey," I answer. "Hey." Victoria's voice sounds different than it did 3 years ago, steadier. "I'm calling with news." My stomach tightens instinctively. "Good news or bad news?" "Good, I think. I got promoted. Assistant manager at the boutique. It comes with a raise. $22 an hour. I feel genuine happiness. Victoria, that's wonderful. Yeah. She laughs, and it sounds real. 3 years ago, I would have been humiliated to be excited about $22 an hour. But right now, it feels like a fortune. Because you earned it. Because I earned it, she echoes. And Elena? I wanted to ask you something. With the raise, I can increase my monthly payment. Instead of $600, I could do $800. Maybe even $1,000. I pause, surprised. You don't have to do that. I want to. Her voice is firm. I want to be done with this debt. I want to close this chapter and move forward. And at $600 a month, I'll be paying you until I'm 42 years old. That's too long. Let me think about it, I say. After we hang up, I sit with her offer. Increasing the payments would mean the debt gets resolved faster. Fewer years of this monthly reminder of what she took and what I lost. But it would also mean Victoria continuing to live lean. Continuing to sacrifice. Continuing to punish herself for mistakes that are 3 years in the past. I open my laptop and look at the spreadsheet. 42 payments received, 58 remaining, then I open my investment account. The account that's grown by 38% over 3 years. The retirement fund that's finally on track. The emergency savings that could weather any storm. I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago. That person was drowning under the weight of everyone else's expectations. That person said yes when she meant no. That person sacrificed herself on the altar of family obligation without realizing she was slowly disappearing. This person, the one sitting in her own kitchen, in her own house, drinking coffee from a mug she bought because she liked it, this person has learned the difference between helping and enabling. I pick up my phone and call Victoria back. I've thought about your offer, I say when she answers, and keep the payment at $600. Use the extra money from your raise to build your own emergency fund. Start saving for your future instead of just paying for your past. Silence on the other end. Then, are you sure? I'm sure, and I am. You've paid me back for 3 years without missing a single payment. You've proven you're serious about this. And honestly, I don't need the money as desperately as you need the stability. Elena. Her voice cracks. This doesn't erase what happened, I continue. And it doesn't mean we go back to how things were. But it means I'm choosing to move forward instead of staying stuck in resentment. After the call ends, I sit in my quiet house feeling something I didn't expect. Closure, not the dramatic, satisfying kind you see in movies. Just the quiet understanding that some chapters close slowly, one page at a time. That evening, I'm hosting dinner. Not Thanksgiving, not a holiday, just a regular Saturday with people I've chosen to keep in my life. Cousin Sarah arrives first, bringing wine and gossip about Uncle Marcus's latest relationship drama. Cousin Michael follows with a homemade dessert. My friend from work, Jennifer, shows up with flowers. We eat at my dining table, the one I assembled. Myself from a sustainable furniture, company, and talk about nothing important. Jobs, hobbies, the terrible reality show we're all secretly watching. No one performs. No one competes. No one lies about their success or hides their struggles. We just exist together, honestly. Later, after everyone leaves, I clean up the kitchen and find myself thinking about that Thanksgiving 3 years ago. The moment Victoria said those words that changed everything. You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing. If she hadn't said that, if she'd kept the secret intact, would I still be funding her life? Would I still be the invisible sister who sacrifices without complaint? Probably. The thought is uncomfortable but true. I needed that humiliation, that public betrayal, that impossible-to-ignore moment of cruelty, because it forced me to see what I'd been refusing to acknowledge for years. That I wasn't helping Victoria. I was enabling her. And in the process, I was destroying myself. My phone buzzes. A text from my father. Your mother and I are looking at downsizing. Would you be willing to look at some houses with us next week? We trust your judgment. We trust your judgment. 4 words that would have meant everything to me 5 years ago. Now they just make me smile. Because I don't need their validation anymore. I've built my own, I respond. Sure, Tuesday afternoon work? His reply is immediate. Perfect. Thank you, sweetheart. I set down my phone and walk through my house, turning off lights. In my office, The spreadsheet still exists on my laptop. But I haven't opened it in months. The payments arrive automatically. The debt decreases steadily. I don't need to monitor it obsessively anymore. Because I've learned something crucial. Numbers tell the truth. But they don't tell the whole story. The whole story is messier, more complicated, full of gray areas where right and wrong blur together. Victoria hurt me deeply. But she's also trying to make it right. My parents failed me. But they're also trying to do better. My family enabled toxic dynamics. But they're also learning to change. And me? I was both victim and participant. I gave and gave and gave, but I never set boundaries. I martyred myself, then resented everyone for accepting my sacrifice. The truth is complicated, and I'm learning to be okay with complicated. In my bedroom, I open my journal, now 3 volumes deep, and write. 3 years since everything changed. Victoria called today. She wants to increase her payments. I told her no, not because I don't want the money back, but because I want her to have a future too. I'm not sure when it happened, but somewhere along the way, I stopped wanting revenge. I stopped needing her to suffer the way I suffered. I just wanted both of us to be free. Maybe that's what forgiveness actually is. Not forgetting, not excusing, just choosing to stop carrying the weight of someone else's mistakes. I don't know if Victoria and I will ever be close again. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. But I know I'm okay either way. Because for the first time in my life, my worth isn't tied to whether I'm useful to someone else. It's tied to whether I'm being true to myself, and right now, I am. I close the journal and turn off the light. Tomorrow I'll wake up in my own house, make coffee in my expensive machine, work on projects I care about, save money for my own dreams. Victoria will make her payment on the 15th. 58 more to go. My parents will call with questions about real estate. I'll help because I want to, not because I have to. My family will continue their slow, imperfect journey toward honesty, and I'll continue mine. This is what healing looks like. Not dramatic. Not satisfying. Not tied up with a neat bow. Just daily choices to prioritize my own well-being, to maintain boundaries, to help without sacrificing myself, to be kind without being a doormat. As I drift off to sleep, one question remains. The question that's haunted me for 3 years. If you were in my position, what would you have done? Cut them off completely like I did? Given one more chance because they're family? Taken legal action to recover what was lost immediately? Where do you draw the line between helping and being used? Between forgiveness and being a doormat? Between family loyalty and self-preservation? I don't have a universal answer. I only know what worked for me. I set boundaries. I documented everything. I stopped the bleeding. And then, slowly, carefully, I opened the door a crack to see if change was possible. 3 years later, Victoria hasn't transformed into a perfect person. My parents haven't become ideal supporters. My family hasn't achieved some fairy tale level of understanding, but we're better than we were. We're honest. We're trying. We're learning, and sometimes that's enough. The debt will be paid off in another 5 years, when Victoria is 39 and I'm 41. By then, $52,800 will have flowed back into my accounts. Proof that consequences exist, that accountability matters, that actions have prices. But the real payment isn't financial. It's the knowledge that I'm strong enough to say no, brave enough to set boundaries, valuable enough to prioritize my own well-being. Those lessons are worth more than any amount of money, and they're lessons I'll carry for the rest of my life. So here's my final thought, the one I want you to take with you. Family isn't about blind loyalty. It's not about sacrificing yourself until there's nothing left. Real family, healthy family, is about honesty, boundaries, mutual respect. The understanding that love doesn't mean accepting abuse, and helping doesn't mean enabling destruction. You can love someone and still refuse to fund their poor choices. You can be kind and still protect yourself. You can forgive and still remember. The question isn't whether you help family. The question is whether they respect you enough to stop hurting you. And if they don't, then you walk away, not with hatred, not with bitterness, just with the quiet certainty that you deserve better. Because you do. We all do. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for them and for yourself is to finally Let go of the role you were never meant to play, the role of the family savior who saves everyone except herself. 3 years ago, I stopped playing that role, and I've never looked back. So what did we learn from Elena's story? Here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. Being family doesn't give someone the right to use you, to lie about you, to drain your resources while pretending you're the problem. Blood doesn't excuse betrayal, and loyalty that only flows one. Direction isn't loyalty, it's exploitation. Elena spent 5 years funding her sister's lifestyle because she was taught that family always helps family, that the practical one should sacrifice for the struggling one. That being reliable means being available for everyone's needs except your own. But here's what nobody told her. Help without boundaries becomes enabling. Kindness without limits becomes doormat behavior. And sacrifice without appreciation becomes slow-motion self-destruction. The turning point wasn't just Victoria's public humiliation at Thanksgiving. It was Elena finally seeing herself clearly as someone who'd been giving and giving and giving until there was almost nothing left, and then making the hardest choice of her life, choosing herself, not with cruelty, not with revenge, just with boundaries. The lesson isn't that you should never help family. It's that help should have limits, terms, reciprocity. Real help empowers people to improve. Enabling just keeps them dependent. Real help has an expiration date. Enabling goes on forever. Real help is appreciated. Enabling is expected. Elena's story reminds us that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop. Stop enabling. Stop sacrificing. Stop accepting lies as truth and manipulation as love. Because when you finally stand up for yourself, when you finally say, enough, one of two things happens. Either people rise to meet your boundaries and change, or they reveal who they really are. Victoria chose change. Slowly, imperfectly, but consistently. Not everyone does, and that's okay too, because your worth isn't determined by whether people change for you. It's determined by whether you have the courage to stop accepting less than you deserve. So here's the final question. Where are your boundaries? What lines have you let people cross because they're family, or they need help, or it's just temporary? And more importantly, what would your life look like if you finally, bravely chose yourself? Think about it, because the person you save might just be you.